I extend a warm welcome to all for being a part of this session on questionnaire design. I, Kritika Sharma, on behalf of my business management department, find immense pleasure in introducing our honorable guest, Dr. Khushdeep Kaur Ma'am. Ma'am is an associate professor in commerce department in our college and also the head of legal literacy club. With a prominent teaching experience of 25 years, she is also in charge of student council. Now, I would like to avail myself of this opportunity to hearten our guest to share her views and guide us on today's topic, that is questionnaire design. Over to you, ma'am. Khushdeep,
Thank
ma'am.
you, Kritika. Thank you so much. A very pleasant morning to all the students. I hope you are enjoying the journey of research project writing. You have entered fifth day. Before I start my session deliberation on questionnaire, I would like to settle one query which was left unanswered before yesterday. I think that student was not satisfied. Neither I was satisfied with that answer. So one of the students identified a gap while writing a review of literature. Then she found a study which is referring the same gap, and that researcher has tried to fill that gap. So what to do in that case? So bache, answer was lying in the presentation only, and we could not able to get that answer. And the answer is very simple. That you can always write that many researchers have highlighted this issue. Suppose issue is X. So many researchers have discussed on the topic X, and very few researchers have been done on Y. So there is a need to research more on the factor Y. So who was that student who asked me this question? Can you name it? Who was that?
Yes, ma'am. I was Ma'am Ramnik.
Okay, you were. So is that clear? Ramneek was there, I think, है ना?
Yes,
Ramneek
ma'am.
asked the question. So is this answer is okay now, बच्चे?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You can always suppose you have find that already some researcher has discussed that issue, पर आपने पहले वो देखा वो तो gap था and you gap and you try to highlight in your research. You must have watched the slide where I have shown you the phrases which you can use to highlight the gaps and how you're going to that gap. Do you remember that slide? So you can always use those phrases that so many researchers have been done on this issue, but still there is a need to do a research or to discuss this matter. So you can always write that. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
So let's start with my today's deliberation. But obviously, I would like to mention one beautiful quote before I start my deliberation, and that is, train your mind to see good in everything. I repeat, train your mind to see good in everything. So let me share my screen with you. Is my screen visible to all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's start with a very, very important topic, and that is designing a questionnaire. So all of you know that in research process, designing a questionnaire plays very, very important role. And unless and until you design a good questionnaire and you ask relevant and appropriate questions to the respondents, justifying your aims and objectives, you will not be able to get good results and you will not be able to analyze your data in a good way. So it is very important that you should design a questionnaire in a very good way and very smartly. So let's start with the very, very first question, and that is, what is a questionnaire? So you all know that questionnaire is such a research instrument which consists of series of questions and different types of questions for the purpose of gathering information from the respondents. It is just like a written interview, right? So you can say it's just like a survey then. What do you think? It is a survey? Answer yes or no. It is a survey? Can you?
Yes, ma'am.
It is a survey? A questionnaire and survey are not the same. See, a survey is a process of gathering data that could involve a wide variety of data collection methods, including a questionnaire. So you can see that survey is a wider term, whereas questionnaire is a narrow term. Survey can be done through questionnaire, survey can be done through observation method. You can observe people and then you can come to the conclusions, right? Survey can be done through interviews also. So survey is a wider term, whereas questionnaire is a narrow term. So in a sense, you can say every questionnaire is a survey, but not every survey is a questionnaire. So coming to very important aspect, and that is what makes questionnaire such a great tool for research and data collection. So number of reasons are there for that. Number one, questionnaires provide a relatively cheap, quick and efficient way of obtaining large amounts of information from a large sample of people. Now this is useful for large populations when interviews would be impractical. It is not possible to interview each and every respondent, so that's why questionnaire becomes handy. It is a relatively quick and effective way of obtaining information from so many people, a large sample. And you can always go for online questionnaires, and you can literally distribute your questionnaires to anyone, anywhere in the world, provided they have internet connection. All you have to do is just send them a link to your survey page. So it's very easy that you can collect information through questionnaires in a very quick and efficient way. Secondly, collected relatively quickly, and then it is an effective means of measuring the behavior, attitudes, preferences, and opinions of respondents than other methods. So you cannot collect right information regarding attitudes and preferences through just looking at the customer, just looking at the people. So questionnaire becomes very, very effective way of measuring the behavior and opinions of the persons. Then coming to the next reason, and that is it ensures respondents' anonymity. It's a very, very sensitive issue. How come? Because there are a number of respondents who does not want that you should disclose their identity. So even phone interviews are not face-to-face. They are making it more private communication, online email surveys, allow respondents to maintain their anonymity. So what do you do? That this concealment puts respondents at ease and encourages them to answer truthfully. So when you ensure them their anonymity, they will give you honest answer. They will give you answers very truthfully. So always ensure them that they are not to be disclosed. Now, another very important aspect which makes questionnaire a great tool for research and data collection, and that is you don't have time constraints. When using online or email questions, there is no time limit to that. Respondents can take their time to complete the question at their own pace. You must have experienced that you must have received questionnaires in your WhatsApp group. Even I receive number of questionnaires on WhatsApp, and I do not fill that questionnaire then and there only. And I always try to fill that questionnaire whenever I feel comfortable and whenever I get time to fill that questionnaire in my leisure mode. So questionnaires don't have time constraints. So this makes it a great tool. Then comes another reason. And through questionnaire, analysis becomes very, very easy because you can quantify that questionnaire providers are quantitative in nature and allow easy analysis of research. You can give numerical figures, numeric numbers to the questions, and you can easily analyze it. Then questionnaires offer actionable data. Now, how you try to look at your research as a blank canvas. It is just like a blank canvas, and you need to paint it. The more data you gather, the clearer the painting becomes. So, what information you are getting, you are trying to give it shape through analysis, and you try to build reports, and these reports can be used to generate predictions, right? Now coming to the constraints part, no doubt questionnaires is a very, very great tool for research, but it has some constraints too. Dishonesty can be a big issue. Respondents may not be 100% truthful with their answers. It's very true. And this happened because of so many reasons. When your respondent becomes biased and he does not want to disclose that what I feel about some person, and he wants to protect his privacy, in that case, that respondent will always give you dishonest answers. Suppose if I say you, if I tell you to rate your teacher, a particular teacher, obviously answer may be dishonest. You may not give me the correct teacher where that teacher has been successfully disseminated the information, whether that chapter is clear to you. So maybe you will not give the correct answer in that case. So it may not be 100% truthful. Now, another constraint in the questionnaire method is that some questions may left unanswered. Maybe some questions will be ignored by the respondents. And very simple solution for that is that in online questionnaires, you offer us, you can make the answering the question required. There is option at the end, and you always click that required option. And if you are making your question required, then respondent has to answer that question. So this is a simple solution for that. Now coming to the next constraint, it is very, very difficult to convey feelings and emotions through questionnaires. And when you are going face-to-face interviews, you can easily read the feelings, you can easily read the emotions from the person's face. But through questionnaires, you cannot fully capture the emotional responses or feelings of the respondents. So sometimes questionnaires are lacking in this. Now coming to the next constraint, and then that is some questions are very difficult to analyze. No doubt multiple choice questions can be easily tabulated and graphed, and you can easily analyze them. But as far as open-ended questions are there, where you can seeking answers in just yes or no, in that case it is very difficult to analyze. So these are some constraints which you face in questionnaire. Now coming to a process of questionnaire designing. So this is a multi-stage process, and you have to follow these 5 steps whenever you are designing the questionnaire. And the first step is define the objectives of your survey. And it is very, very important. Unless and until you do not know the objectives of your survey, you will not be able to design a good questionnaire. So you should be very much clear about the aims and objectives of your survey, and you must be very much clear about what are your hypotheses of the study, what are the relationships or similarities or comparisons you are going to do in your survey. So this will make easier for you to design a questionnaire. And secondly, you need to determine the sample group, another very important part in this questionnaire designing process. And then comes the writing part. Then you start writing the questions and questionnaire design. And finally, you need to arrange those questions in order form. Right?
Excuse me,
so
ma'am.
I'll be covering all these 5 aspects one by one. Coming to the first and that is defining the objectives of your survey. So as I already told you that before, हाँ जी
मैम, सॉरी मैं आपको बीच में डिस्टर्ब कर रही हूँ. बच्चे ना कह रहे हैं कि वॉइस ब्रेक हो रही है बीच में, उनको वॉइस क्लियर नहीं है.
मैं थोड़ा सा अपने पास कर लेती हूँ लैपटॉप.
हाँ जी मैम.
ओके,
थैंक यू मैम.
अब ठीक है? Is this fine?
बच्चे वॉइस क्लियर है?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
वॉइस क्लियर है बच्चे? ओके मैम,
clear
यू कैन कंटिन्यू.
Ma'am, it's
or
better. It's better now. Please continue.
Okay, okay, okay. Now let's start with the process of questionnaire designing, and the very first step is defining the objective of your survey. I've already told you that you should start your questionnaire designing by revisiting your hypothesis, aims, and the objectives which you have set yourself for the project. So based on these aims, objectives, and hypotheses, first of all, try to give an answer to yourself, what you want to discover and how you are going to use the data you have collected. So this in turn will help you in determining which type of questionnaire you want. So you can always design a questionnaire in 3 ways. You can design subjective or objective questionnaire, you can design quantitative or qualitative questionnaire, and you can either design anonymous or face-to-face. So I'll be discussing all these 3 types one by one. So coming to subjective or objective. Now, objective questions are always observable questions, factual questions, which are you can easily count them. And these objective questions are based on certain facts which respondents are answering. Suppose you are asking them whether this is right or wrong, whether this is true or false. So this is objective question. You can easily count how many truths are there and how many false are there. So suppose 100 respondents have answered you, so you can easily count कि 20 ने मुझे true बोला और 80 ने मुझे false बोला. So for example, you are asking someone where he or she lives or what he or she has bought from your store. So this is also a factual figure. Right, so these are objective questions. Now coming to the subjective questions, these questions are based upon opinions, assumptions, or beliefs, and these beliefs and assumptions can vary from person to person. And subjective questions always aim to measure respondents' feelings, attitude, perceptions, their opinions regarding something, regarding some institution, regarding some place, regarding some product or a service. So in such a case, you can always go for subjective question. So see here, example is written, how they felt about the quality of customer service or what their favorite brand of coffee is. So this is something which is very, very subjective. Now coming to the next category of questions, and that is quantitative and qualitative. So whenever we are discussing quantitative and qualitatives when designing the survey, one of the first things you need to do is to decide the survey's purpose. It is very, very important. It will help you in outlining the questions to ask, which topics to cover, what kind of data do I need. So first of all, ask yourself, what is this survey for? And after this question, the next question which follows this question is, what kind of data do I need? So it will help you in deciding, should I use qualitative questions or quantitative questions, or I should go for a mixture of both, quantitative and qualitative. So quantitative research involves analysis of numerical data. The answers which you are getting, you can easily give them you can identify those answers with the numerical figures. And qualitative research always involves analysis of data such as words, pictures, or artifacts. You can always give your respondents some pictures or words and you can tell them to tick those. So the researcher has to decide how to categorize and assign value to the possible responses. Suppose pictures are mentioned, so you can always give them, you can always assign values to those figures. It will be easier for you to analyze data in future if you are assigning values to those qualitative pictures, right? Now coming to the next part of quantitative and qualitative only. Quantitative data always gives you answer of what, whereas qualitative data always gives you answer of why. See, quantitative questions will result in data that is easy to convert into number-based analysis. It is easier to measure using statistical analysis because you are assigning numerical values. So you are getting answer of what. And then you can see examples. Now these examples you will see are giving answer to the question of what. How many times per month do you purchase a coffee from a cafe or coffee shop? How often do you drink coffee at home? Do you prefer to prepare coffee at home or purchase from a cafe or a coffee shop? So you are getting information, you are getting responses of these questions in quantitative terms, in numbers. If it is asked to you, how many times per month do you purchase a coffee? Obviously, you will write 1 or 2 or 3. So you are getting responses in numbers. How often do you drink coffee at home? Once, twice, or thrice in a day. So again, it is in numbers. So these are the examples of quantitative questions. Now coming to the qualitative questions, if you are now taking the same example of coffee, if you are asking them why you are liking this brand and what do you like most about your favorite cafe or coffee shop, how could your favorite cafe or coffee shop improve? So it means you are seeking answers in qualitative terms. You are seeking answers of why. So keep in mind that quantitative questions always gives you answer of what, and qualitative gives you answer of why. The responses are more difficult to analyze if it is in qualitative terms, because in this case researcher has to be very smart when he is going the analysis part. He has to convert these qualitative terms in a quantitative terms. So instead when analyzing qualitative data, you must be able to think flexibly and creatively to identify important trends and findings, and then you can come to the conclusions. Now coming to the third category, that is anonymous questionnaires and face-to-face interviews. So anonymous questionnaires, these are relatively inexpensive and easily scalable. These are, and these questionnaires helps in removing the possibility of influencing answers by the tone of voice. Suppose I'm asking a question and that respondent is influenced with my tone. If I am speaking in high pitch, if I am speaking very loudly, or my facial expressions are such while asking a question, so it is quite possible that that respondent will be influenced by my facial expressions or my tone of voice, and his answer will be diverted. He wanted to give some answer, he wanted to give me answer yes, but after looking at my facial expressions, he will say no. So anonymous questionnaires में ये problem आती है, but these questionnaires definitely help in collecting both types of data, quantitative and qualitative data, right? And face-to-face interviews, these are flexible enough, good for following up on answers, and it enables a researcher to gauge emotions. And there are certain studies and certain surveys where you need to learn about you need to see what are the emotions, what are the opinions, how this person is reacting to this question. So in such type of surveys, face-to-face interviews are very, very important. They are quite effective. So interviews are used mainly in qualitative research projects, not quantitatively. So these are three categories, three types of questions: subjective and objective, quantitative and qualitative, and then anonymous questionnaires and face-to-face interviews. Now look at the picture of this anonymous questionnaire. See, person's identity is not disclosed, right? These are the respondents, but I am not aware who are these. So these are anonymous questionnaires. But in case of face-to-face interview, introduce yourself, informing your name, research institution name, and subject on which you are collecting the data. You have to tell the respondent that who are you. Now, after that, you have to inform about the anticipated time required for the interview, survey and directions to be followed, and then you have to present the questionnaire to the respondent along with the pen or a pencil if he's not having pen or a pencil. And you always need to carry pen and pencil along with you to present to the respondent so that he can write then and there only. And if you are not getting, if you're not seeking information in a writing form, you can go for recording the views through recorder also. So you have to carry recorder along with you. And you need to clarify the questions to the respondents in case of face-to-face. Sometimes respondents are unable to understand what you are asking. So in that case, you need to explain him again and again that this is my requirement and I want to ask this question. So this is a problem in face-to-face. So you have to go through a long process in face-to-face interviews, but there are certain studies and surveys where face-to-face interviews are more effective than the questionnaires. And obviously, you have to prepare notes whenever that respondent is giving you responses. He's saying something, you have to note them down. And obviously, at the end, you have to express your gratitude to the respondent. You have to say, thank you, sir, thank you, ma'am, for giving me your precious time, valuable time to complete this and helping me. So this is about face-to-face interview. Now coming to the next part, and that is second step of questionnaire designing, and that is determining the sample group, which is very important because it's not possible for you to do a survey of the whole population, right? So what is the aim of sampling? To reflect the general population or to represent a clearly defined group within the general population. Most surveys conducted as a part of an undergraduate program face constraints on time and cost. I'm talking about you people, BBA student, because you are undergraduate students and you definitely face a constraint on time and cost. So you have to be very smart in selecting the sample because you cannot go for serving the whole population. So before selecting the sample, the question arises, will the sample group truly reflect the general population? So start by determining whom are you going to ask, where are you going to find them, and how are you going to contact them. So I'm repeating, what is the question? Question is, will the sample group truly reflect the general population? So for that, you need to ask yourself. You need to give answer to yourself कि मैंने किसको पूछना है, कहाँ से डेटा इकट्ठा करना है और उनको मैंने कांटेक्ट कैसे करना है. So this is very, very important. Now consider these questions carefully if you want to maximize your return rate. And by focusing your research on a specific group, you will increase your chances of obtaining accurate and meaningful results. And obviously, if return rate is high, suppose you have sent questionnaire to 200 people and you are getting a response of from 150 respondents, it is good enough. You will be happy that your return rate is very high. And greater the number of returns to your questionnaire, the greater the confidence you can have in the results. So this is very important that you should select the sample group in a very good way and in an appropriate way. Now coming to the third step of questionnaire designing, now you start writing the questions. Your aims are clear to you. Your objectives clear to you. You are clear about your hypothesis. What are you going to analyze? What you are going, whether you are going to compare something or whether you are going to see the correlation, whether you are going to find the similarities and dissimilarities between the two parameters. So now you are clear about all these things. Now you will start writing the questions. So you have to phrase the questions so you get the answers you need. But be careful, your questions should be clear, succinct, and above all, unambiguous. Another thing that you should not be open to different interpretation by different people. You should avoid ethnic expressions or you should avoid subject-specific terms. So being commerce students, being management students, maybe you are aware about some technical terms which other people may not be knowing. So better avoid such specific terms, jargons that may not be understood equally by all the participants. So there are many terms which you use in HR, in marketing, in finance, but other people are not comfortable or they are not aware about those. So always try to frame questions, always try to write your questions in a very, very simple language, in very clear way. And here, what succinct here I mean, in few words. Your questions should not be lengthy. Sometimes lengthy questions create confusions in the mind of respondents. Now, what are the different types of survey questions? Now, these are common questions which are asked by the researcher in their questionnaires. Demographic questions, open-ended questions, close-ended, rating scale questions, Likert scale questions, multiple choice questions. And you must have seen that questionnaire comprises of all these questions, because all these questions have relevance in study. So I'll be covering all these questions one by one, how to ask, what are the tips, and with good examples, I'll explain. Now, these are some standard demographic questions usually asked in questionnaires: gender, age, location, income, marital status. But it is not necessary that you should ask each and every demographic question. It again depends upon the need of your study. What do you want? Maybe you don't want age, maybe you don't want location. It again depends upon your objectives. Now, coming to the first demographic question, and that is gender. Please be in mind, take in mind, and that is, always use the word gender in place of the word sex. You must have seen people have used the word sex, or आगे options दी होती है male, female. Don't write word sex. The appropriate word is gender. So be sure to use the word gender. And then comes age. Age is a standard demographic question that should be included in every survey, because in almost every study we try to find out the relationship between the age and the answer given by the respondent. ये वाली चॉकलेट इस वाले एज ग्रुप को ज्यादा पसंद है, ये इस वाले एज ग्रुप को ज्यादा पसंद है, ये वाला चैनल ये वाला एज ग्रुप ज्यादा देखता है या वो वाला एज ग्रुप ज्यादा देखता है. तो एज is such a standard demographic question which is included in every survey. But this is very sensitive question. So be careful while asking this question. So always try to ask this question in a range form. Example is written, what is your age? Always give range to your respondents. Less than 15 years, 15 to 30, 30 to 40, above 40. So depending upon the need of your survey, depending upon the need of your study, you can always decide the range. But be careful, this is a sensitive question, and maybe respondent feels uncomfortable in revealing the exact age, so better ask this question in range. Then comes the next demographic question, location. Usually we don't require such type of demographic question, but if any marketer is doing a survey, he wants to know whether his whether this particular product is doing good in this particular location. So if in case of marketers survey, from marketers point of view, this question will be quite relevant. So this is another standard question. It depends upon the study, whether you want to know where your customers are from, because they may live in places you wouldn't expect. So this is another demographic question. Now coming to the next demographic question, and that is education. So this is a core demographic question because it provides insight into the type of work a participant may be doing. What is the highest degree of level of education you have completed? Always give range in this type of question, demographic question also. See high school, bachelor's degree, master's, PhD or higher. So many times you try to correlate the education level of your respondent with your responses. You try to find out the correlations and you try to find out whether the education level of your respondent is affecting the response. So sometimes you try to analyze the responses of the question and you consider education as very, very important aspect. Then comes the marital status. So whenever you are interacting with your respondents, so you ask them their marital status, and if they are married, their buying decisions may be influenced by different factors compared to someone who isn't. So whenever you are doing a survey with regard to some product or service, your customer satisfaction, this demographic variable, this demographic factor or question may be quite relevant for you. So this question can always be asked in the form yes or no. No range is required in this marital status. Next demographic is household income. Now, again, this is a sensitive question, and some people do not want to disclose the exact income of theirs. So always give them a range. What is your annual household income? So again, see less than 25,000, 25 to 50,000, 50,000 to 1 lakh, and more than that. Now coming to the next demographic question, and that is employment. And it is very, very useful to know the participants' employment status because it contributes to their buying power. And if you are doing a survey on a particular product, whether you are going to buy this car or that car, because it is a luxury. So obviously you need to seek this information of employment. What is your current employment status? Full-time, part-time, retired? Or sometimes people do not want to disclose whether they are unemployed or not. So you must give this option, prefer not to say, because some respondents may be unemployed. So always prefer to give this option. Now coming to the next category of questions, open-ended questions. Now open-ended questions usually allow people to express what they think. If you want to gather more information, in-depth answers from your respondents, then open-ended questions will work better. Now here respondents are free to put down what they like in their own words. So you can give them 4 or 5 lines in questionnaire, or you can tell them to write in detail. You can tell them to write an essay. For example, how do you find this college for pursuing graduation in commerce? If I ask you this question, obviously you will prefer to write in detail. You will write to pen down your emotions. You will write to pen down your perceptions or attitude towards this college. So there are so many things, so many opinions, feelings. So you can go for such type of open-ended questions. Now, what are the strengths of these open-ended questions? Because these open-ended questions give you rich qualitative data, so you can elaborate, and this qualitative data will definitely help you while writing a report. And whenever you are writing analysis part of your research project, at that time, while interpreting the data, you can always take information, you can always take references, you can always take hints from what respondents have said. So rich qualitative data is provided to you by the respondents through open-ended question. But there are certain limitations also of these open-ended questions. These are time-consuming, obviously from respondents' point of view also, and from the researcher point of view also. It is time consuming to collect the data and to analyze the data. Moreover, it takes heck of a time by the respondent. Sometimes respondents feel monotonous, or he does not like to answer in so much of detail. So better, if you want to ask open-ended questions, try to ask few open-ended questions, 1 or 2 in the whole questionnaire. Don't ask so many open-ended questions. And how it is difficult to analyze the data, because the researcher has to read each and every answer, and he has to try to put those answers in certain categories by coding them, because your open-ended questions, open-ended answers are subjective in nature. In these answers, you are getting person's emotions, perceptions, attitudes, and opinions. So they are subjective in nature, and it will become difficult for the researcher to analyze them. Then another limitation of open-ended question is it is not suitable for less educated respondents, because to write open-ended answer, a person requires writing skills and ability to express. So it's quite possible that your respondents may not be educated, so not suitable. So whenever you are selecting the sample, whenever you are deciding to whom you ask, so that is why that step is before this step. Before writing the questions, you have to give an answer to yourself. Who is your target group? To whom you are going to ask the questions. So if you are going to ask the questions from educated respondents, you can easily add in your questionnaire open-ended questions. But if you are asking questions to uneducated people, in that case, avoid open-ended questions, right? Now coming to the next, and that is sometimes researchers use these open-ended questions as a pilot study. I'm not talking about you people. In PhD, people can go for pilot study by using open-ended questions, because whenever people give answer in open-ended questions, they are writing so many things in that, and the researcher always gets so many ideas from those common responses. And in that case, he can always frame close-ended or multiple choice questions after getting an idea from those open-ended questions. So this pilot study can be done with the help of open-ended questions. Now coming to close-ended questions. Now in the close-ended questions, you are allowing responses which fit into pre-decided categories. For example, yes or no, male or female. And closed-ended questions can also provide ordinal data, like you can combine it with continuous rating scale also. For example, you give them options strongly agree, agree, neutral, disagree, and strongly disagree. But closed-ended questions, actually what I mean here is that you are not giving them option to go beyond that range. If you have given them option yes or no, उन्होंने उसी में answer करना. Respondents cannot go beyond that limit. Now, what are the strengths of close-ended questions? These are economical, and this means a large sample size can be obtained, which should be representative of the population, and you can easily convert such type of responses into quantitative data. You can easily count कि मेरे पास 100 respondent में से 60 का yes आया, 40 का no आया. So you can easily quantify them. And what are the limitations of close-ended questions? Because responses are fixed, no detail is being asked, so therefore there is a less scope for respondent to supply answers which reflect their true feelings on a topic. And this is possible only in case of open-ended question, कि वो अपना दिल खोल के आपके सामने रख देते हैं, right? So this is a limitation of close-ended question. Now coming to the next category of questions, rating scale questions. Now this is the most established question type, and you will find rating scale question in every questionnaire, and people enjoy giving answers of such type of questions. And these types of questions can be asked in online and offline surveys both. And in this case, you can ask multiple choice question and so many other questions. So when these questions are used, these questions are used to evaluate the performance of a particular product or service. So you want to know the preference of a product or a service. You want to know the employee's performance. You want to know the performance of a particular place or a restaurant, right? So in that case, such type of questions are quite helpful for you. Now there are 4 types of rating scale questions: graphic rating scale, numerical rating scale, descriptive rating scale, and comparative rating scale. Now let us discuss one by one. Now see graphic rating scale. Now this graphic rating scale gives you the options on a scale 1 to 3, 1 to 5, or 1 to 10, right? And Likert scale is a popular graphic rating scale, and this scale is often adopted by managers to appraise their employees' performance. See, you can see the example. If HR manager has to rate his employees' performance on attendance, so at the extreme, there is a rating poor, and on the other side, there is outstanding. And HR manager can always rate his employee between these 1 to 10. So again, see, parameters are there on which he is going to appraise the performance of employees, attendance, behavior towards subordinates, sincerity and dependability. And he is being given the scale and he has to tick one option, and this will help the HR manager to appraise the employee's performance. Now coming to the next, and that is numerical rating scale. Now numerical rating scale has numbers as options. Now in this numerical rating scale, we can use two types of scales, visual analog scale or a semantic differential scale. Suppose a doctor has to ask a patient about the pain, the intensity of a pain, how much pain he is feeling. So sometimes patients is unable to tell or explain the doctor that how much pain he is feeling. So doctor can always give him this scale: 0, no pain, and 5, moderate pain, and 10 is worst possible pain. And patient can easily tick 1 in this whole scale from 0 to 10, and it will be easier for a doctor to diagnose that how much pain that patient is having. And then comes the visual analog scale. In the visual analog scale, you are giving them pictures, you are giving them visuals, and you are even clearing the respondents, making them clear that what this figure means. You need not to give, you need not to write, you need not to write not at all satisfied, slightly satisfied. You can just give them visuals, and it will be very easier for a respondent to give a response. Suppose if I ask any employee, are you satisfied with the working atmosphere of this organization? So it is very much clear from these visuals whether he is satisfied with the working atmosphere of this institution or not. So this is visual analog. And then another example is if any employee is asked that rate your manager on the following scale. How do you think your manager is? So we can go for semantic differential scale in this case. And again, we are giving the numerical numbers, and we are preparing a scale from +3 to -3, from kind to unkind. So these are various parameters on which we are measuring the managers: kind, helpful, patient, calm, and friendly, right? This is not necessary that you can rate manager on the scale. You can even rate your teacher on the scale, isn't it? That how do you find your teacher? Kind, helpful, patient, calm, or friendly. See? And another way of semantic, another example of semantic differential scale is this. On the other side. See, here I'm not giving the numerical numbers here. I'm not giving them rates, but it is obvious. From strong to weak, I can easily identify and I can easily analyze from the response of the respondent that whether the manager is strong or a weak, right? Whether he is decisive or indecisive. So these are the examples of semantic differential scales. Now, sometimes people get confused that semantic differential scale and Likert scale are same. No doubt, little bit same, but the difference between the two is that Likert scale question asks the customer to agree or disagree with the given statement, right? While the semantic differential scale question asks the customer to complete a statement, offering two polarized options along with some middle of the road options. Now I am coming to the previous slide. See, this is in between middle road, and this is one polarized option and the another extreme, right? Now, if you, another example, if you want to analyze brand loyalty, and again you are rating question, suppose on a scale of 0 to 10, you are asking your customer to rate your purchasing experience. How likely, and they are asking you a question, how likely are you to recommend a brand to your friends and colleagues? And this question you usually found in malls. Whenever you visit malls, you visit to one shop, वहाँ पे उन्होंने एक कंप्यूटर रखा होता है एंड ये आपको वो कहते हैं कि सर प्लीज मैम प्लीज इसको आप फिल करके जाओ रिस्पॉन्स देके जाओ एंड द क्वेश्चन दे यूजुअली आस्क इज after considering your purchase experience, how likely are you to recommend a brand to your friends and colleagues? Obviously, through this rating scale, they will come to know whether you are a satisfied customer, whether you are a loyal customer or not. And if your response comes in between 0 to 5 or less than 5, it means you are not a satisfied customer and they need improvement in their store. Right? So marketers can easily go for such type of rating scale surveys to analyze the brand loyalty. So suppose you are doing survey on restaurants. So it again, rating scale is there. Different parameters are there. You can tell your respondents to rate your service, cleanliness, parking, quality of food, choice of food on this scale from very poor to very good. Right? And such type of skills will definitely help marketers or managers to improve upon, and it will help in making future strategies, future predictions they can do after analyzing the results of such type of surveys. Now, common way to study customer satisfaction visiting apparel or garment shop. See, if you are doing a survey, so if you want to ask how satisfied or dissatisfied are you with each of the following, so you are giving them number of options, and this you must have experienced such type of questions at various shops. Now they are asking you interaction with the sales staff, your experience at the registered organization of the store, the products offered in the store, the price of the products, the size available at the store. And many times it happens that I click on that I am very dissatisfied that size is not available. And it really happened with me. I visited that store twice or thrice, and every time I did not get my size. So such type of things, such type of surveys will definitely help the marketers or stores to get good, to take good decisions, to make strategies for the future, right? Now, what are the advantages of rating scale? These scale questions are easy to understand and implement, and in such type of scales, it is very easy to do comparative analysis within a target sample. And using graphic rating scales, it is easier for researchers to create surveys as they consume the less time to configure. And then you collect abundant information. You can analyze such type of information very easily, and you can do analysis in a very quick and less time, right? So these are the advantages of a rating scale. Now coming to the fourth step in the questionnaire design, and this is very, very important aspect. Sometimes you experience that response rate is very low. आपको लगता है आपने तो इतनों को क्वेश्चनर भेज दिया था पर मेरे पास तो सिर्फ 5% रिस्पॉन्स आए. So it is very essential that questionnaire should be well designed, and if questionnaire is well designed, you will definitely get a good response rate. And number of important factors which you should consider while designing a questionnaire. You should be clear about your aims. In the behavioral sciences and social sciences, when we develop number of items to assess the constructs, आपका एम है कि आपने डिप्रेशन को भी मेजर करना है, हैप्पीनेस को भी मेजर करना है. So don't put these two constructs in one question. Try to make depression, try to prepare questions, try to prepare 10 to 20 items to understand or to analyze the depression in the respondents. And if you want to analyze happiness, to measure the happiness, then try to set separate question and try to include 5 to 10 items in that particular question to measure the happiness of a respondent. So you should be very much clear about the aim. Now comes the another very important aspect in questionnaire designing is length. The longer the questionnaire, the less likely people will complete it. They will get bored. कई बार आपको लगता है वो आप किसी से बात करो, इतना लंबा क्वेश्चनर है, खत्म ही नहीं हो रहा, मेरा तो दिल ही नहीं कर रहा भरने का, मैंने नहीं भरना. So questions should be short, clear and to the point. Avoid unnecessary questions and unnecessary items. If you think these are unnecessary, omit it. Don't ask. And always go for a pilot study. But I'm not telling this going for a pilot study to BBA student, because you don't have sufficient time to write your research project. You have time of only 2 to 3 months. So this is this pilot study is for PhD students, right? So be careful while designing your questionnaire. You must be clear about your aim, what you are going to ask, and be careful about the length. Your questionnaire should not be very, very lengthy, right? Now coming to the another important aspect, and that is question order. So once the survey questions are developed, the particular attention which should be paid to how they are ordered in the questionnaire. So the placement of a question have a greater impact on the questionnaire. It should be logically ordered. At least sensitive questions should be asked first, and then more general questions should be asked first, and then you should go to the specific question. And researchers should ensure that answer to a question is not influenced by previous questions. Make sure that your previous question and your current question should not be mingled one, or should not be influenced by each other. And it is very, very important that if you are seeking any information or answer in detail, or if you are seeking opinions, or if you are trying to study the emotions, then go for open-ended questions first and then come to the close-ended questions. Because if you ask them close-ended question first, they will get an idea and they will definitely mention those options from the close-ended question in the, and they will write those options in the open-ended question also. So make sure. So while determining the order of questions within the questionnaire, surveyors must be attentive to how questions early in the questionnaire may have unintended effects on how respondent answers subsequent questions. So you must be sure kind of order, and this point I have already discussed about that what question to be asked when, right? So you should be very much careful while writing your question. Your question order should be in a logical way, which should move from least sensitive to most sensitive, then more general to the most specific, right? And certain ethical issues are also there in designing a questionnaire. Must ensure that information provided by the respondent is kept confidential, especially name and address. And I always tell to my students, don't ask name. You have nothing to do with the name. आपको name तो चाहिए नहीं होता research के लिए. Don't ask their name and address. If possible, avoid such type of questions, because respondent is not sometimes ready to disclose this information. So ethically, it's not good. So avoid such type of questions. And whenever you are asking sensitive topics, as I've already told you about the age and income, so try to ask sensitive question, give them a range. Okay, then the questionnaires are good for researching sensitive topics, as respondents will be more honest when they cannot be identified. So keeping the questionnaire confidential should also reduce the likelihood of any psychological harm, such as embarrassment. So if you want that your respondent should give you honest and truthful answer, always keep their identity secret, right? And then another ethical issue involved is always take prior permission from the respondents to complete that questionnaire. So this is very, very important. Now, finally, at the end of my presentation, I will definitely give you some tips for questionnaire. Always keep your questions short and simple. Don't ask unambiguous question. Don't use technical language. Prefer to ask direct question. Avoid biased questions and try to speak your respondent's language. It is essential to know your audience. Always try to give you an answer to yourself. Whom are you going to ask? Whether your audience is educated or uneducated, which language they speak. If they do not understand English, avoid asking questions in English. Go for Hindi or Punjabi and whatever the language they feel. And if they cannot read, go for face-to-face interview, right? And it is especially important to consider the education level of the survey population when thinking about how easy it will be for respondents to interpret and answer a question. And avoid true, false, or yes, no questions. I always say to my students, avoid asking such type of questions because these are useless questions because they generally produce less informative data. Now, if you are asking true or false or yes or no, और आपका गुजारा नहीं है इसको बिना पूछे yes or no, you can always reframe such type of question. You can always include phrases such as how much, how often, or how likely. You can use such type of scales. Then always avoid double-barreled questions. Double-barreled question means avoid asking two aspects in one question. Now see this example. How much confidence do you have in Prime Minister to handle domestic and foreign policy? Now this is wrong. You should have asked how much confidence do you have in Prime Minister to handle domestic affairs? This is one question. And then ask second question. How much confidence do you have in Prime Minister to handle foreign policy? So avoid double-barreled questions. These are certain tips of writing a questionnaire. Now, if you have designed a good questionnaire, what are the advantages of a well-designed questionnaire? Obviously, with a survey questionnaire, you can gather a lot of data in less time, and there is a less chance of any bias if your questionnaire is smartly and well organized. And another is you will get quick responses. It will be cost effective for you, and then it will definitely help in it can be customized to reflect your brand voice. This here I am talking from marketer's point of view. If your questionnaire is smartly designed, it will definitely help you in reinforcing your brand image after analyzing the whole data. And you can easily compare your responses with the historical data. And finally, respondents can answer the questionnaire without revealing their identity. Also, many survey software complies with significant data security and privacy regulations. So you can go for such type of softwares. It will definitely help you. Thank you so much. This was all from my part, and I hope you have learned how a smart questionnaire can be designed. Thank you, beta. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for giving your valuable time. Students, if you have any queries, please ask in chat box.
Good afternoon.
Anji, good afternoon, beta.
I have a question where many don't tell so how it is possible to choose.
Ramneek, excuse me, Ramneek, आपकी आवाज कट के आ रही है बेटा.
Ma'am, now it's audible.
Yes, it's audible now. Yes.
Ma'am, many people don't tell about their education level. So how it is possible to choose open-ended question or not?
If they are not ready to disclose their education level,
many people don't disclose their education level.
Again, it depends upon the requirement of your study. अगर आपकी objectives ऐसे हैं कि आपने कोई ऐसी पैरामीटर लिया है जिसको आप एजुकेशन लेवल के साथ ही लिंक करना चाहते हो और उस आपके रिजल्ट्स आएंगे, in that case it is very important to know the education level. In that case, if your respondent is not disclosing the education level, you can ignore that questionnaire, because sometimes it is necessary for your study to know the education level. क्योंकि आप ये स्टडी करना चाहते हो कि ग्रेजुएट लोग क्या सोचते, सपोज आप कंपैरिजन करना चाहते हो कि जो लोग अंडर अभी ग्रेजुएट नहीं है, जिन्होंने 10th तक पढ़ाई की है, वो ये सोचते हैं, और जो पढ़े लिखे लोग हैं वो ये सोचते हैं, और आपकी स्टडी के लिए एजुकेशन का जो लेवल है बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है टू नो. So in that case you can always avoid such type of response. उस questionnaire को आपका ना करो, ठीक है? But many a times it is not necessary that you should ask education level. आपको education level की जरूरत ही नहीं है अपनी study के लिए, तो you can always avoid such type of question. Is this clear, beta?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, also tell me the difference between semantic and Likert again.
Semantic means it is a philosophical study of meaning in language. It means you are denoting your ideas in range. जैसे मैंने kind और unkind बताया ना, यानी आपका जो idea, आप kind आप उसकी nature को measure करना चाहते हो. So you are denoting your idea in a range. आपने उसको स्केल रेंज बना दिया. आपने देखा था 6 सर्कल्स बने हुए थे, एक तरफ काइंड था, दूसरी तरफ अनकाइंड था, राइट बेटे? दिस इज सिमेंटिक. और लिकट में आप क्या करते हो, आपने लिख दिया स्ट्रांगली एग्री, एग्री, न्यूट्रल, डिसएग्री एंड स्ट्रांगली डिसएग्री. सो दिस 5 पॉइंट लिकट स्केल. यू कैन ऑलवेज गो फॉर 3 पॉइंट लिकट स्केल ऑल्सो. जैसे आपने पूछा आप हमेशा ये करते हो कि नहीं करते हो, तो इसका रिस्पॉन्स हो सकता है ऑलवेज, समटाइम्स, नेवर. इन सिमेंटिक यू आर डिनोटिंग रेंज ऑफ आइडियाज बेसिकली. गॉट इट?
Yes. Okay, ma'am. Thanks so much.
Any other question?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, good afternoon.
Ma'am, I want to ask that how to make online questionnaire.
Online, yes, very good answer. Your Pooja ma'am is going to teach you Google Forms, how to prepare questionnaire on Google Forms. Your Pooja ma'am is expert in that. बहुत अच्छे प्यार से समझाते हैं. Google Forms very smart. I mean technique of making a questionnaire. उसमें आप multiple choice question, open ended, close ended, rating scale बड़े अच्छे से बनाते हो. And Pooja ma'am is expert in that. So I hope next session जो आपका होगा उस पे होगा बेटे. And you will definitely go for hand-on practice for that. साथ ही साथ आप अपने Google Forms बनाना और मैम आपको बताते जाएंगे. Is that clear? Is this okay, Pooja? Is Pooja there?
Yes, ma'am. I will be taking that session tomorrow.
बस ठीक है. So students will come to know how to prepare a questionnaire on Google Forms. Online questionnaire कैसे बनते है ना? Okay. Any other question? Any other query, बेटा?
Any other query, बच्चे? Please ask.
मुझे पता ही नहीं लगा इतना टाइम होगा. मुझे प्यास इतनी लगी.
मैम प्लीज आप पानी पियो.
हाँ नहीं, कोई बात नहीं.
Any other question, बच्चे?
मैम आपने इतने आराम से इतने प्यार से समझाया, आपने इतने प्यार से समझाया, उनको सारा समझ आ गया आज.
आज कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है.
ये आज समझ आ गया, उस दिन समझ नहीं आया, वो दोबारा से समझा देती हूँ. रिव्यू ऑफ लिटरेचर
नहीं, वो उनके लिए ना, वो उनके लिए थोड़ा ज्यादा नया था. लिकट स्केल एंड ऑल इन्होंने रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी में डिटेल में पढ़ा भी हुआ है.
ओके. सो वो वाला सेशन इनको थोड़ा टेक्निकल लगा.
हाँ जी मैम, दैट वाज न्यू थिंग फॉर देम ना.
सो आज का इन्होंने एंजॉय किया फिर.
अच्छा, राइट योर फीडबैक इन द चैट बॉक्स.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have enjoyed?
बच्चे
Yes,
write your
ma'am.
feedback in the chat box.
with grace of God, as I have not lost my connection. On that day, because of bad weather, I lost my connection. So everything is going well.
Ma'am, everyone is satisfied?
My hotspot is working perfectly fine.
Ma'am, it happens at time. Technology ditches us.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
Parents are satisfied?
So okay बच्चे.
They understood very well.
चलो. It's
Shakun has
good.
written, it's a great session, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
चलो. Okay.
Totally satisfied
Okay,
session.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Ji.
Thank you, ma'am. On behalf of the department, I really thank you, ma'am, for sharing your prime views and giving your valuable time. We highly acknowledge your efforts, ma'am. Thank you for being a part of this session. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Pooja. Thank you, Kritika. Okay,
You're
I'm
welcome,
leaving.
Thank
Okay,
you,
ma'am. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.